So we'll move right ahead into the wrap up. So end of year 4 not only requires the special education files, the SWIDs, the MEET, the plan, the SERV, and the PSTS, but it's also requires records from the student information system as well. So, the enrollment is very important when we talk about exits. On every data type that we submit for IDEA, they need student information for race, ethnicity data. You need CELA because students with disabilities and English learners are still high profile, right? You're going to need, although it's end of year 3, being reported with your special education data is also your discipline. So there's a lot of, we can't take for granted that all the data for special education comes from those 5 special education specific files. Students with disability data is submitted on an ongoing basis. So even though we highlight the end of year 4 data submission, this data is submitted throughout the year. The end of year 4 data submission is reflective of the entire academic year, which distinguishes it from fall 1. The students with disability exits come from the SWIDs and the SENR enrollment, and sometimes the MEET file. The MEET records identifies students who have been evaluated for services and plans. Remember, this is important. Those that have been evaluated because of the child find requirement, that's a key tenet of the IDEA, and that is not reported at all in fall 1. The PSTS files created from a survey from students who left the previous academic year. And so with students with disabilities, we have to make sure that we're not trying to survey students in transition services, right? They have to have completely exited post-secondary or secondary education, right? So we have some road shows coming up. Tomorrow is Shasta. If you're up in the north, you can register and go. And then followed, there will be Ventura. Some of these have virtual registration, so you might try to go to one of those. And then I guess I don't know if they're going to have a virtual one overall, if that's been added, but I would imagine if we're ever going to record it, it might be the one in Sacramento. That's a month away, so you might want to, if you are in the area, go to one of the local ones and catch Dominic. All right, here are our suggested milestones. So we told you in the beginning to create your own timeline and schedule, and these, you shouldn't take this to heart, right? It's just guidance. The one thing that we want to emphasize, and if you can't see how large we made this, 7-Eleven, you should have 0 errors. So we're going to push for that. We're going to work for that. We find that it's been beneficial. I don't know if we've done this for 2 complete years, but I know prior to Martha's retirement, we started targeting a milestone for 0 errors, and we find that it has led to a higher percentage of LEAs who are meeting the deadline and certifying. And with DA coming, we don't want to fail meeting any deadlines and get additional assistance, right? You don't want to qualify for DA. It's not the exclusive club that you think it is. And then you have several resources. We went over multiple resources. Kyron pulled a couple up. I pulled a couple up. We're not going to rehash that. Here are links to the resources that we did pull up. As terms of support, always use the CalPAS web form and go through the service ticket. A lot of the program related questions to special education have to go to the SPED office, right? And the best way to contact them is through the service desk. When you're asking me about an error or a common practice, I can answer that confidently and I believe accurately. But when you have special scenarios that are program specific, like how do we do this and how do we do that, we like to refer those to the experts at the SPED office. So service tickets are usually best. Unless you want to resolve an error, then I can do any of them.
Say thank
There
you.
you go. Let's go,
Let me
Marshall.
say thank you before Marshall Jams take over. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, many of you, I developed a relationship I have with Wendy. We work hard. We do appreciate all your efforts, and we're in a support position. So
Yeah.
um, we're not the CDE. We're not the ones with the heavy hand. We really just try to help you certify and learn CalPads if you're new. So thank you all for your hard work and thank you for your attendance.